Have you ever wondered how people have reached stardom? Have you ever tried to uncover the secret to fame? What do these celebrities have in common? Clearly, it's a flawless integumentary system. The integumentary system is the cutis or cover of the body as well as its modifications such as horns, claws and hair. It is the metabolically active barrier between you and the environment. Without it, you wouldn't be the attractive person that you are. So what does this hairy system do for you? For the most part, it maintains homeostasis. It thermoregulates the body, giving it the ability to maintain its optimal temperature, prevents dehydration through the skin whilst allowing some lipids to pass through, shields the body by keeping out dirt and pathogens that may disrupt normal functions within, and detects stimuli from the environment. And people say that real beauty is skin deep. The skin is the largest organ on the body, which covers its entire surface. It is connected to mucous membranes of externally open body systems, such as the mouth and nostrils. It gets thicker where injury is most likely to occur, and on lateral surfaces, such as the limb. The skin is made up of two layers, the epidermis and the dermis. Beneath this lies a third layer called the hypodermis, which is technically not part of the skin. The epidermis is the outermost layer which is keratinized and stratified, or multi-layered. It is able to undergo self-renewal from its basal cells, giving you that fresh look you've always wanted. In fact, this happens every 28 days. There are no blood or lymph vessels, so nutrients are received through diffusion from the dermal layer. The epidermis is made up of keratinocytes, which make up 85% of the cells in the epidermis and eventually migrate to the stratum corneum. There are 5 layers to your good-looking appearance. The stratum basale is the bottommost part and consists of cuboidal cells arranged on a single layer. These cells migrate to the surface, going through all the layers. The stratum spinosum consists of stratified polyhedral-shaped cells. The cells in this layer are anchored to each other by a large amount of desmosomes. The stratum granulosum consists of flat squamous cells with compressed nuclei. Within this layer, cells receive 2 types of granules, keratohyalin, which causes the skin to harden, and lamella, which causes a discharge of lipids to upper and lower regions, creating a water barrier. The stratum lucidum is a thin and transparent layer that only occurs in thick skin, such as the palm. The stratum corneum consists of keratinized flat cells which consist of granules. These cells produce keratin, which causes biochemical change. Non-keratinocytes are also found in the epidermis and make up 15% of this layer. Melanocytes are responsible for your hair and skin color as they produce melanin, which also act as protection from UV radiation. Merkel cells are responsible for the detection of stimulation. And finally, intraepidermal macrophages act as an immune response by presenting antigens to T cells.
Now on to the next part, the dermis. It consists of irregular shaped connective tissue containing collagen, elastic and reticular fibers. They have blood and lymphatic cells present, as well as nerves. Unlike the epidermis, it only contains 2 layers. The papillary layer conforms and projects into both the epidermal and dermal layers. These projections interlock with the epidermis and act as the glue that keeps the skin on you. This layer is involved in keeping the epidermis and dermis together, acting as a selective barrier between the 2 layers and used as a target site for immune responses and injuries. The reticular layer is made up of dense connective tissue, much thicker than the papillary layer, which allows for skeletal muscle fibers to penetrate the dermis, giving voluntary movement of skin. Beneath the skin lies the hypodermis, which consists of a loose arrangement of collagen and elastic fibers, which anchor the dermis to the muscle or bone beneath it.
The skin does not make up the integumentary system completely. There is a huge array of appendages that are associated with the skin, which comes in 2 forms. Those that grow out of the epidermal epithelium, for example, nails, hooves and horns, and those that grow down into the epidermal epithelium, such as hair follicles and glands.
Foot pads are structures that are hairless and shock absorbing. They contain a thick stratum corneum to further aid with shock absorption. A horny structure is often associated with them, such as a fingernail or a claw. Ungulate foot pads have their foot pads directly incorporated into the hoof, which occurs in pigs, horses and cattle. But what is a hoof? A hoof is a large horny structure and is made up of the white line, which joins the sole to the inner wall of the hoof, and to seal the border of the pedal bone to protect against bacterial infection. The frog is a wedge-shaped structure that provides resistance to the distortion of the hooves while walking and also allows independent movement of the heels when travelling over uneven ground. The bulb grows larger as it absorbs shocks from impact.
Horns are permanent structures that usually grow continuously from the frontal bones, which are covered by specialized dermal and epidermal layers. The dermis of the horn adheres to a fibrous membrane called a periosteum, which keeps the horn healthy. On the epidermal layer, the horn wall is hard and tubular. Horn growth occurs at the corneal process. Later on in life, the frontal sinus invades the corneal process and the horns become hollow.
Hairs occur on skin with a fine conified layer and come in three types: the top coat, which is made up of straight, stiff guard hairs, the undercoat, which is made up of fine, wavy wool hairs, and the tactile hairs, which act as touch receptors. Hair is structured into three parts: the medulla, or core of the hair, which is primarily made of cuboidal cells, the cortex, which has squamous cells oriented parallel to the long axis of the hair, and the outer scaly cuticle, which is what is most commonly seen under a light microscope. Different hairs can share the same follicle, like the hairs of a brush to its brush tip. The primary hair is the guard hair, while the secondary hairs are the wool hairs, which are shorter and softer. Tactile hairs are another type of hair, which are much thicker than normal hairs and protrude much further than surrounding hairs. The hair follicles for these reach deep into the hypodermis and are surrounded by nerve endings which detect mechanical stimuli. Skeletal muscles can also be found attached to the outer dermal layer and provide some voluntary control.
Finally, we have the sebaceous gland, which secretes sebum, a mixture of lipids and disintegrated cells which act as antibacterial and waterproofing agents, and promote sweating. The secretory unit is essentially a solid mass of epidermal cells enclosed by a connective tissue sheath. The periphery of the gland is made up of a single layer of cuboidal cells on a basal lamina. There are also two types of sweat glands. Mercrine glands can be found in special locations. These glands are simple, coiled, and directly open into the skin. Apocrine glands are simple and coiled as well, but are much larger and function in the thermoregulation of the body. With such an amazing system, it's no wonder why people are after the looks rather than the personality. So the next time you look at yourself in the mirror, be thankful that you have such a wonderful integumentary system.